Welcome back, you sadistic, twisted people, to another episode of Turbo's Torch. This is Tiger Turbulence, uncensored, unleashed, and turning the torch up on the SFA identities. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Damiki was in the hot seat, and as is the contestants' right, they can throw down the challenge for the next person to sit in the hot seat. Damiki, that he polluted the place with the smell of melted cheese, so we've decided to go with the smell of burning rubber. So welcome to the hot seat, a person who has won fuck all SFA awards, only played 41 games, yet somehow is co-captain of a team, the Gumbies. Welcome, Falconista. How are you, mate?
Thanks for that intro, Turbo.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I see you've got no awards. What's going on?
Well, I don't play in positions to win awards. I'd rather win a premiership.
Premierships are overrated. Right, now, do you know my first show was with a former captain of the Gumbies, Barrybrans?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yes, he was the first brave person to actually sit in the hot seat with me. So I look forward to actually getting to torch another Gumby, because I did enjoy that show. Now, you know how it works. I ask the questions, you answer, no padding, no bullshit. Just give us the raw and honest truth, or I'll turn the torch up and melt you. Falconista, are you ready?
I am ready.
Why do you think Damiki picked you of all people to sit in the hot seat?
I think the Wonders have an unhealthy obsession with the Gumbies. I think they think that for some reason they think that they're superior because they won a few premierships early on in the comp's history. And they think that they can bully us, but they can't.
So is this sort of a recent thing between the two teams, or does this go back a little way, do you think?
I just think both teams have always been opposites, and unfortunately there's not really an on-field rivalry, so there's a very small off-field rivalry.
Have you ever asked Damiki to try and get him to the Gumbies?
I have not.
Would you want him to go to the Gumbies?
Not off the top of my... He wouldn't be first on the list.
Righto. Who's on top of your list for recruiting?
I'm not gonna tell you that.
Why not?
But I'm always interested in funny people.
But
People are gonna post, because that's obviously a problem at the Gumbies.
Yeah, well, if you name them on here, that's part of the massaging. They hear their name on the podcast, they think, oh, okay, the Gumbies have got something.
Oh, we got plenty, don't worry.
On the last show, Pickett said Canucks, because we were talking about the Furies and things, and he said Canucks wanted to see you and Serial Thriller as co-captains of the Furies. Were you ever approached about that?
I was not, and that's a very weird combination. I don't know Serial Thriller very well. I'm not sure that we'd work together too well. I think we're too similar in many regards. But yeah, I've not heard this. No one from the Furies has ever approached me to join the Furies, let alone captain them.
Well, say the invite was given to you now. Would you accept to be captain of the Furies? Would you want to be?
I'm not looking to leave the Gumbies. I think that would be shit to be there for a season as captain and then piss off.
You'd be the first to do that. How long did Hayday stay as captain of the Gumbies?
No, it doesn't matter what others do. I'm trying to do it from my own integrity.
But it's your heritage of your club, mate. So
Yeah.
you're looking at yourself as a long-term captain of the Gumbies?
I'm looking at myself as not someone who joins a club and pisses off quickly to make them weaker.
Have you got a sort of time scale that you see yourself as leading the Gumbies?
I don't have a time scale. As long as the leaders of the club want me as captain, I'll stay as captain. I was the accidental captain that obviously wasn't meant to be captain for this season anyway, and things transpired.
What was the problem with who was supposed to be captain?
Well, Den was going to continue on.
But isn't he down as your co-captain?
He is, but he was going to continue on in a solo capacity.
Oh, righto. So what made him put you in as captain then as co-captain?
Real life.
So
He
why
can't commit as fully to the big footy in general, not just Sweet FA, being online enough to do it in a solo capacity.
So why doesn't he stand down as captain and just stay in the LG and have you... Look, this... Because you know my stance on co-captains, don't you?
Yeah, you hate it.
I just see it as ridiculous. And I'm having a conversation, you know, it's like, yeah, again, I don't see the co-captaincy add strength to your model. So why can't he be in the LG and then he can just pop in and out as he have access to your PM, and you stay as the captain. Because you wouldn't be the first guy to take over as captaincy that hasn't got a lot of experience. That's never really been a big issue.
Yeah, well, we chose the co-captain model. It's just what we chose.
But you know that's weak, don't you? Like, it's not really serving a purpose for you, is it?
Well, I can throw him under the bus if I make any infractions.
Well, I suppose there's always that advantage. How does that work if there's an infraction with the timesheet? If you're the one that posted it or didn't post it, can you elect which co-captain gets hit, or is it both of you go under?
As I understand it from committee, and it's gone back and forth, and there's people with different opinions, you can nominate who takes the penalty.
God, that's a soft option. I reckon if there's a co-captain, both of you should be hung for it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah. Now, Tonga Bob, he wants to know why you haven't entered artwork in the McInnes Prize.
I've got something almost ready to go.
Oh, he'll be very happy to hear that. Are you expecting that you're going to be placed high with it? Like, is it a legitimate piece of art, or is it just a, copy and paste piece of shit?
I think it's better than my piece last season, which somehow came second, so... I'm hopeful. I think I have to bribe Cursing Fiji, and I think they're the judge this year.
Righto.
So I might have to, slide into their DMs.
Righto. Excellent. I like that competition. I always enter into that as well. I think it's a worthy piece. Now, what's the best IPA beer you've tried recently?
I tried the Mountain Culture Colt just recently.
Righto. Was that a nice drop?
That was a very nice drop. Mountain Culture does some very nice stuff. GWS Goose is a massive fan of it.
Now, I've noticed that Baz has been losing interest in the league. What's going on there?
I think it's a combination of fatigue from carrying the club for so long and just a bit of general malaise with this season. I think a lot of the veterans have found this season a bit dull.
And what do you think's causing that?
Well, there hasn't been any controversy yet. There's been no fullback situation, or no one other than Canucks, but no one really getting permabanned at a key time, or any of that stuff happening.
In the old days, it was just open slather, and that's why you got controversy, because people could absolutely rip into each other and cause angst. Whereas now it's a lot more vanilla. Wouldn't you think that's one of the contributing factors to why the place is basically quieter, duller?
Well, it's possible. I wasn't around for that era though, so I'm not the best person to speak of it. But I still think there's a place for going hard. It's just choose your targets. And I think there's a lot of people who are not very good at it, myself included.
Do you see Baz getting back into it?
I think it'd be reinvigorated. I think, as I say, I think there's certainly a fatigue aspect from taking over the club and carrying it with a few others for a few seasons. That's going to wear you down.
And do you think he takes it, personally when people criticise the Gumbies? Do you think it hurts his feelings?
I don't know, is the honest answer.
Well, you can make it up. Remember, it's fantasy.
Baz is pretty tough. I don't think it would hurt him.
You're doing the S35 rookie class thread.
Yep.
Who are your picks? Who would be your top 3 picks for potentially getting the Ekka this season, you reckon?
Well, I think the favourite would have to be Memling at the Royals.
Royals, yeah. And I think he's very popular with a lot of people, yeah.
I think people really liking what they're bringing to the table. I think Kenny's Warriors at your club made a pretty good start.
Yeah, he's been good value. We weren't too sure how damaged he'd be because he got to spend a week with the Bombers. But I think we got him out of there just in time. So, yeah, he's a good old stick. So he's on my list too, on my top 3 list. Who else you got?
Ronnie Raven made a good start at the Bears, but has sort of slowed down a bit now that the AFL season started.
Yeah.
They burst out the blocks pretty strong, so it's whether the Bears can sort of get them back into it.
Yeah. What about Saint September from the Bombers? Do you like him?
Yeah, I reckon he's probably next. And we've just spent a match thread with the Bombers.
And
I
how'd
thought
he
he was,
go?
yeah, I thought he was not bad. Bombers were the team we hadn't played until now, so now I've played every side this season. I thought he was good value.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've just said my fall pick, so I reckon it's got to be out of that lot. Let's talk fullback.
Go on.
Yes, you knew I was going to bring him up, didn't you?
Of course.
The player that made Denny D melt, and some would say destroyed his quiddy career.
Not destroyed. Put a dent in it. Den's going to be back. Don't worry about that.
Oh, he'd want to. So, where do you stand on the fullback?
My stance on the fullback is that I recruited somebody in good faith and have no evidence beyond a couple of messages that were screenshotted from a Discord chat to suggest that they are possibly Tony Lynn.
Right, so the fullback's Tony Lynn, right? So you're saying, your stance, because he's still on your list. So you haven't delisted him. So your stance is that he's not a rebadged player. Is that correct?
My stance is that we don't know who they are, but the fact they haven't been in big footy for close to a year now
Yeah.
means that come next season, if they haven't logged in, they won't be on the list.
So now you're starting to believe what we were saying at the start, that the fullback's a rebadged player?
It's possible.
You got to agree. He's, as you said,
It's suspicious. I'll grant you that.
he joined you and then he's just done nothing. And it's like, remember how they said Mrs. T was an alt? I don't know if you were part. People thought Mrs. Turbo was an alt, that I was just making up players to fill up the numbers. And what happened was, because it's a real person, they just kept posting and end up winning an Ekka, and they're into their second season firing. So, you know, the fullback is not a legitimate person, don't you? You really do know.
I think they're pretty suspicious.
Yeah, so you do know. So, when's Denny D going to apologise to us? He put in a bringing the game into disrepute charge against us on something that we were correct about.
Well, were you correct on that, though?
Absolutely. We've never wavered from the fact that we believe the fullback is not a legit player. And you know it, and you've seen the way they've behaved. They've just disappeared. They don't engage. It's not a real person, like a person who's joined big football as that identity to be in big football. It's a sham.
Right. Well, what can I say?
Well, Denny D just needs to apologise so we can put this to bed. So we can feel like, all right, we can move on from this. But at the moment, it's like a festering sore.
Doesn't that create a nice bit of rivalry between our two clubs?
Oh, come on. You know he needs to apologise. Otherwise, this isn't going to end. Well, not end well anyway.
Look, he's not the first person to do something silly in committee.
We'll just say it was Tony Lynn 15, right? We'll just accept that it was him. What do you make of that? Somebody joining your club, and I do believe that you didn't know. So I'm not saying that you guys deliberately brought in someone to rot the system. I don't believe that at all. I think you guys were victims of a scam. I think you got taken in by someone. So what do you make of that? A person that would do that?
I think that's pretty shitty behaviour. Yeah. Because we know if you've been in the Sweet FA, you know the rules. Mm-hmm. And there's always, when you recruit someone, that element of trust that you're recruiting someone who is a legitimate user. Yeah. And he's not using an alias or who's a previously banned person who's using a second identity. So I think it's pretty, if that's what's happened, that's pretty shitty conduct.
I'm just surprised they're still on your list. Why have you kept them on your list? Well, you've got 27 players or something. It's not like you have to have them on.
Well, we do now.
Yeah.
We didn't at the point of squad submission.
Oh, right. So it was a bit of a necessity to try and hold on to them.
Yeah, I think we only had 23 at squad submission.
Right. Well, okay, I can see why you'd want to hold on to them, even though you probably suspected that it wasn't a legitimate person, especially because I assume they're not. You wouldn't have spoken to them in your PM or anything for ages. Like, they would have just disappeared on you, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, they haven't been online since,
Yeah.
August or something?
Well, talking about your team and your squad, you got rated in the mid-season survey as being third least favourite team to post against, right? So that's obviously, as a captain, something wouldn't fill you full of joy, would it?
No.
Because, I mean,
But,
everyone wants to feel like you've got a team that's engaging.
yeah, I think that's uh, absolutely right. And unfortunately, at the moment, we've got a team that we get a solid amount of posters that pop their head in, but we don't have many that are the high posting people who can really keep a thread going.
Yeah. Right. Well, I noticed that you lost 3 players, but you picked up 4 players to boost your side. How's that new blood you brought in going? Like, you've got that Aucklander, AGM Lard, Mop, and Jeremias. So how's that worked for you?
Mop's come in as a returning player and has been fantastic. Has been posting up storm and been a really engaging poster. Jeremias has popped their head in each week as a former player, isn't a big poster yet. And Aucklander and AJM led, they've only been around sporadically.
Yeah. Well, Jeremias has only posted 7 posts for this season, so he's not posting much. You know,
Yeah, he hasn't been around for that many weeks,
no.
though.
And AGM Lard posted 1 post in round 2, and Aucklander posted twice with a total of 7 posts. So, is there anything going on in the background to try and get them people up and going, like try and introduce them into the squad?
Yeah, there has been. Yeah, not every rookie works. I think that for someone like AJM led, I think they like the idea of getting stats and like the idea of sort of vicariously being a footballer or being a footballer by being a footballer, but isn't as interested in the sort of the banter side of it.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at your stats now, and you've got obviously GW Goose is the leading the pack. He's like on 526 posts. Then you're the next one behind him at 421, and then it drops away to Denny D and Bees and Barrybrand and the 200s, and then after that it just drops down to single digits and zeros. So you've got 16 players who aren't posting pretty well.
Yeah, and that's the issue with the list. We can't deny that.
Yeah. So do you think that's the reason why you got that third least favourite? It's more about just not getting the engagement. So you're not, when you've got teams that have a number of posters, they've just haven't got the people to banter against.
Definitely. That's absolutely it. And also we're probably a bit same at the moment. Last season, okay, he's not popular with your club, but Sky was a good point of difference that we had last season as that sort of more aggressive poster, which we don't really have now. We've got a whole lot of sort of nice people and don't have that antagonist.
So we've identified that your list is shallow. Like, once you take away the top, half a dozen players, and it just drops over the edge, and that's obviously creating a problem with engagement. So that tells me then a priority for you then has to be to bring in some people who can post. So how do you go about doing that when your team is not seen as an attractive team at the moment? It's one of the unpopular teams, and people talk about closing the club down and all this sort of shit, and your name gets thrown up every time that conversation happens. What do you do to change that?
You just work really fucking hard because it's always been the case, as far as I know, that at least for 10 plus seasons that the Gumbies have been one of the first teams with their heads on the chopping block. You just gotta knuckle down and try and recruit people and work triply as hard and try and sell what the club offers. And there's plenty of good things the club offers.
Well, like what? What are you offering?
Well, you don't have to. You can be yourself for the first point of view. You don't need to be a certain style to be here at the club. Second, because we're not as big a club as others, if you want to stand out and be noticed, you're going to get noticed at this club because you don't have to be a huge poster to stand out. And I think we've got a really good crop of people behind the users who are willing to support you in whatever way you need behind the scenes.
What do you think of the Ophidian Old Boys list? Do you think we've got a reasonably good list of players?
I don't think there's any doubt you've got a good list of players.
Now, we started off with no one on the list only 2 seasons ago, and we've created that in 2 seasons. So you saying for 10 seasons you've identified that you've needed players, but you've never got them. They're there. You can get them. So why aren't you getting them?
I think that one of the things is sometimes we get them and they don't last particularly long because another club comes with a juicier offer. And I think it's a bit hard to turn the ship around. But I think you look at the job that Baz did in his seasons as captain, and I think he did a great job.
But I'm looking at you now as captain because you've got the job. Going forward, you've identified that it's been a long time since the Gumbies have been good. You're just splattering along. That you're low on the engagement. You've identified that it's about getting good players. But how do you go about doing that? I mean, you say work harder, blah, blah. That's rhetoric. How do you attract players to the Gumbies? How do you get a player to go? What do you do? How do you recruit? Are you an active recruiter? You go to players and say, listen, we really want you and this is what we see? Or do you wait for people to apply? How do you get your people?
So in my time in Sweet FA, I've predominantly been recruiting rookies. Obviously now that I'm captain, I've started to build some relationships with some players across the league.
Good. Yeah.
In the hope that I can twist some of their arms to come across.
The only way you're going to get someone to come to you is not just you. I mean, you would be a big catalyst. So if they like you, there's a start. But it's about what they get coming to your club. So what would you offer someone that's an experienced poster? Why would they want to go from a team that's high up on the echelon and come to the Gumbies?
Well, one reason is there's a lot of prime positions on field that they could take, and we've also got plenty of the members of the LG aren't going to demand the priority positions if there's someone else who wants them.
And do you think priority positions is a big inducement for somebody?
Not for everyone, but I think there's absolutely some people that love an award.
Yeah, I guess. Have you ever thought about open advertising? Just saying, righto, we have a ruck position available, we have a full forward position available, we have a rover position available. Apply to you but you got to be prepared to do a season for the position, and just see what comes from that. That means open marketing.
Oh, look, I'm always open to suggestions.
You get a couple more people that are posting in the hundreds, and then you're going to be fairly well the norm as everybody else.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
I mean, we had a couple of seasons ago, we had Riviat and Ned Flanders, and just those two alone made a huge difference.
Yeah, you broke fucking Ned Flanders too, you bastards. He's never been the same since he's been over there. Have you noticed that?
And that's our fault, is it?
Fucking oath. I played with him for 9 seasons at the Furies. Never missed a beat. He goes over with you guys for 1 season and he's shallow, he's broken. He hardly talks.
Oh, that's because he's reached the pinnacle.
Yeah. So I don't know what you did to... Actually, that's probably not going to help your recruiting cause much, is it? Fuck. Now, who don't you like in the SFA at the moment?
There's not a poster that I don't like. I don't really enjoy match threads against the Wonders.
God. So there's individuals. There's no individuals that you think is a pain in the ass. What about Pugsley? Everyone hates Pugsley.
No, I think Pugsley's great value.
Wow. It seems lately that all the people the first 3 people I had hated Pugsley, and now I've got people who all like Pugsley. What about Mr. McMeldy?
Oh, I can just ignore him.
Righto. So you just don't have any angst about anyone. And you reckon that the problem with the SFA is that there's no, angst and drama going on. It's people like you that are making it so nice.
I said earlier that I'm more a nice person, and I'm not the sort of person who creates the angst. There's people who do, there's people who don't.
Do you think rebranding would work for you?
No, I think that's just papering over issues. I think that would have no effect whatsoever.
Right.
And I look at the Warriors who, I'm not trying to have a go here, but they don't have a premiership, but they have a strong sort of culture that Tiff and Tom and Bob have really, and probably others, have built up there. And I think that's absolutely something we need to do here at the Gumbies.
Absolutely. And you do that, and then you'll begin to have something people can go to that they want to be part of.
I've only been in the role for 10 weeks or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things on the list.
What else you got on the list?
Well, I've got to build the culture up.
Yeah, but that'll come again with your environment and by attracting good people. That'll develop. Culture takes time, as you would realise. It's not something you just have. What's your PM like? Is it a very active PM, your team PM, or is it a?
No, it's not. It's not particularly active.
You sure the Gumbies shouldn't fold?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, righto. I just don't want you burning out like Denny D and Barrybrans, the previous captains.
No, I'm made of good stuff.
Righto. So do you agree Denny D should make the public apology to the Fitty Knoll boys so we can put it all behind us?
I'm sure some kind of apology will be forthcoming.
Excellent, because that's part of, you talk about your culture and that. Well, that's the sort of thing that shows a decent culture. All right, so I'm looking forward to that, Denny D. Just a nice public apology, like maybe a media thread, something like that. What do you think?
I think that's for you and Den to negotiate on.
Doesn't need to negotiate, he just needs to apologise to us. Shish. Righto, it's time for crap. The intellectual game show allows SFA players to show how fit they are. Have you been keeping up with the Fact or Crap show?
Yeah, I sure have. I want to do better than Katsky, that's for sure.
It would be hard to actually get less than Katsky, I reckon. I like the fact that you understand what this show's about. It is to beat three and do your part to ensure Katsky remains languishing at the bottom of the thickest prickfest 35, because he deserves that. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Righto then. Well, I'll give you a statement and you quickly tell me if it's fact or crap. And your area of expertise is claymation. Simon How's your captain of the Gumbies. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Gumbies started on the Howdy Doody show in the 60s.
Fact.
It's crap. It was the 50s.
Off to a good start.
Oh, Katsy's going, yes! That's the first one. And this is your area of expertise too. I'm surprised. Here we go. Gumby's head was designed slanted to ensure the character would be able to stand up during filming.
That sounds like a fact.
It's crap! It was based on the father's hairstyle of a cowlick. So the father used to, they used to slick their hair back.
Yeah.
And that's what it was designed around. It was the bloke who made him, he just tried to make like a slick back style, that throwback. But I thought it made sense too that that it would stop him from falling over. I like it. So far you've got none right. Right, this one you should know. As of round 12, you've kicked the quiddy 308 times.
Fact.
It was a fact. All right, you've got one. You started. Question number 4. Gumby's only premiership was season 15.
No, that's crap.
Well, when was it?
Season 16.
The Gumbies, the team, started season 4.
Yeah, that's fact.
It was season 3.
Oh, Gumby started in season 3.
Yep.
What, first match?
When you look up the list on that he hates thing, Gumbies was season 3 was when they were introduced. I know it's sad for you, but we just got to move on from it.
They played their first match in season 4, though.
Doesn't matter. They started in season 3. It's when they were registered club. So that means you're still at the halfway point. You only have 2 right.
I'm a thick prick, aren't I?
Well, I really hope you can get this one out. Here we go. Eddie Murphy helped bring back a Gumby revival.
He dressed up as a Gumby, so I'm going to say facts.
And it is.
Oh, cool.
Number 7, you can buy a flying bicycle.
Crap.
It's a fact, actually.
Oh.
Some British inventors come up with a bicycle that flies. It's called the Explore Air Pavilio. Question 8. Gumby starred in his own movie released in 1995.
I don't know. Crap.
It was a fact.
Oh, fuck.
It was 1995. It was called Gumby the Movie. I thought you guys would have this playing at your club all the time. Don't you show your rookies it?
No, we get shown rookies. The rookies get shown Rodney Dangerfield's statue and Barrybrans' portrait.
Right, well, you need to get the Gumby the Movie. And you know how much it made as a box office movie?
Probably not much.
$57,000. Well, $57,100.
Yeah, that's not much.
57,000. They wouldn't have even paid for the cost of just moving the movies around to the theatres. Oh, what a loss. Righto. You've got 2. Try and get one right. Question 9. As of round 12, you have more frees for you than against you.
No, that's absolute crap. I've got heaps more against me.
Excellent. You got it right. You have. You've received 30 free kicks and you've had 48 against you. So that means you've got 4. So Kasky stays thick as prick. So you can rest back now and just see if you can get a little bit of extra here and get yourself up to 5, which will put you in with Ligma and Mrs. T and Damiki, I think, are on that. Right, here we go. Question 10. Vacuum cleaners were originally horse-drawn.
Fact.
Do you know that for a fact?
Just assuming.
Well, actually, the first vacuum cleaners made were so large, they had to actually be dragged around by a horse to go from house to house. So they're actually on a horse-drawn carriage.
There you go.
Who would have believed it? Righto, well done. So that gets you up to 5.
I'll take it.
Oh, absolutely. A 4's a win in this game. I have one last question to ask you. Who do you want to see in the hot seat next?
Well, I know the answer that you want me to say.
No, you give me who you want.
I will. You want me to say Den, but I'm not going to say it.
No, who do you want?
I'm going to say I'd like to get a bomber in the chair. I think Jabba 73 would be a good guest.
Jabba 73. All right.
I like the cut of his jib often. He's got opinions. He's not afraid to express them. I think he'd be a good guest.
Righto, I'll try. Have you tried to recruit him to the Gumbies?
I haven't.
You're missing your opportunity. Who have you tried to get to the Gumbies?
Well, never you mind. I'm still working on a few.
Jabba 73, you heard it. Have you got the kahunas to sit in the hot seat and take the heat? This is Tiger Turbulence making it even hotter in the SFA.